There is something about the way a member of royalty wears their crown. The crown represents royal status, though it's not status that impresses me. I'm impressed by the way they wear their crown, the way it makes them feel, and what it means to them. We were adorned with a turban. It is our crown. Though in status, we don't need to be kings or queens. The turban, once reserved for royalty, was given to the lowliest of women and men so they could ascend the chains of the caste system, which kept them from dreaming and living in dreams. The turban is the equalizer amongst us. We tie it with pride, courage, and humility, as we aspire to be like queens and kings before us, who taught us to be at one with our dreams. My name is Elfresh the Lion. My poetry object is my turban. My turban is special to me because it forms a lot of who I am as an individual. It reminds me of a very powerful history, which has been passed down to me from generation to generation. It reminds me of stories of heroism, of bravery, of courage. It also reminds me of stories of equality and humility. And so when I tie it every day and get ready in the morning, I know what I represent. I know what I carry with me, and I know what that legacy means. So, and that kind of is special to me because that's my foundation, and that gives me the values that I carry with me. It informs how I view certain situations and how I respond to certain situations, and it also connects me to a community also. So there are many reasons, but those are some of the few that kind of explain why my turban's special to me. Choosing my object wasn't difficult. I reflected on what I thought was one of the objects that were most important and most valuable to me. So turban came to mind straight away because it was the most obvious, but also something that I thought people would like to read about because it's not something that they really get to, read about in detail, particularly from a personal perspective. Then the process was, trying to explore what people would receive from my poem, what I could give to them in a short space. That meant something to me, but was also something that I thought they could take away from the poem and find valuable. So once I found that historical aspect, within the Sikh faith, my turban was used to try and, it was one of those things that was used to try and balance society and to tackle a practical way to try and tackle the constraints of a social caste and economic caste system. I thought that would be a really cool way to approach it because people don't get to hear that perspective very often. They see a turban and it's like, oh, it's different. No, that's fashion, or that's looks nice, or it looks weird, or whatever. But they don't really get to know about how it came to be and what it means. So that was something I wanted to get across in the poem. So when I was reflecting and writing, I was just trying to make sure that that was going to come across. I remember first learning to tie it and how frustrating that was because every time I did it, it wasn't coming out the way I wanted it to. And it wasn't, sitting the right shape. It wasn't, the creases were off and it was crooked, and it was very frustrating because you're like, I want to carry this, I want to represent, and I want it to look good, and I want to feel good about it. And when it doesn't come out how the way you picture it, it can be difficult and challenging too, because you're tying it and you're spending a couple of hours, so your shoulders and your arms are sore, trying to get it right when you're learning. So I mean, those are funny memories to look back on because now it takes like 2 minutes and it's great every time. So it's a funny memory, but it also reminds me not to take it for granted because you know it was a process to learn how to do it.